At this point, we're ready to cut the bottom rail to length. And I have an assistant here, Chris. And as we look at here, you want to pay close attention to the first baluster spacing to the post. Now we have it set up here in this particular arrangement, which is a possibility, where we have just under 2 inches to the first baluster. And it's the identical on both ends, but this baluster is going to be pretty close to the post. And this is the advantage of purchasing a longer section, is that you have more options. So another option is this is how we're actually going to cut this bottom rail, where we have 3 7/8 inch spacing from the post wall to the first baluster. And that's still under the 4-inch sphere rule, that a 4-inch sphere will not pass through here. And that is where we're going to cut this rail. We are now ready to cut our rails to length. We have measured the correct dimension. We're going to be using a cordless handheld saw. Be sure that whatever saw you use has a carbide tip blade. If you're using a regular chop saw, an 80-tooth or a 60-tooth or an 80-tooth carbide tip blade would be in order. And we're just ready to, now we can cut the top rail on the through post end. We can cut the top rail and the bottom rail on the same cut. So we're ready to cut these rails to length. On the opposite side, we're going to be installing the railing section on a crossover post. The crossover crosses over exactly 1 inch, so we cannot do the same cut on the top rail as the bottom rail. The top rail needs to be cut 1 inch longer, so we're going to cut the bottom rail, shown here, and then measure 1 inch longer for the top rail cut. One of the neat features of the Westbury system is the forgiveness. We intentionally cut this rail a little bit short, and as you can see here, we're going to have up to possibly a 1/4 inch gap between the bracket wall and the end of the rail. Side entry screw, that's still going to be working properly, and then this cover is going to hide that gap. So this system is very forgiving in installation processes. We are now ready to assemble this Tuscany C10 section. There's a PVC insert inside the rail that's going to receive the baluster without any type of mechanical fastener. So it's a nice little tap with a rubber mallet. You want to make sure this baluster is going to go all the way to the bottom of the bottom rail. Now we're ready to place our top rail onto the balusters. I have the first 5-6 balusters in position, partially into the top rail. Rubber mallet's your friend. We're going to give it quite a few taps, and then we're just going to work down the line to continue tapping the top rail into place as we go. Here we have the section fully assembled. And one thing you want to be sure, you can see the PVC insert inside. You notice that the baluster is all the way to the top, to this notch right here. You want to make sure your balusters are fully seated in the rail. And then of course on the bottom rail, you want to make sure your baluster is seated all the way down to the base of the bottom rail. Anything less than that is an incorrect installation and may allow the balusters to rattle. This installation, there will be no baluster rattle. Here I'll demonstrate the racking capabilities of a Tuscany C10 straight rail section. Please review the racking guidelines for all the different models, but here I'm demonstrating that a straight rail section will rack up to 10 degrees in either direction. When this product is installed on anything other than dead level, you will need a stair swivel hardware system. Do not attempt to attach a racked railing system to the standard straight rail hardware. Thank you for watching this video and have a great day.